microphones. There's a good start. Thank you. Going to call to order the October 22nd, 2025 meeting of the Brainerd HRA Board of Commissioners at 1 o'clock. With that, roll call is going around, has gone around. And so I'm looking for a review and approval of the agenda, looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So move, Yeager.
Is there a second?
Second, Ursula.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That's approved. We are going to approval of the minutes. Item number 4, item approving the minutes of the regular board meeting September 24th, 2025. Looking for a motion to approve.
Motion as well, Yeager.
Hager, is there a second?
Second, Ursula.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And that motion carries. We're on to unfinished business, item number 5. And Karen, will you be presenting that for us?
I sure can.
Okay.
Sure. The memo will be up on the screen. It's attachment 2, page 7 of our packet. Quarterly, Eric likes to give an update to the board of our progress on our strategic goals, So presented for you today is an update through the third quarter. I can give a couple of highlights into it in addition to what Eric has presented, and then if the board has any questions for staff,
Please.
we could certainly answer that as well. An update to Goal 1, our workforce retention and development. I did want to let the board know that we did have 2 staff members exit this month. So we currently have 2 jobs posted through the city, through NeoGov. That was our Ross coordinator, and then we're hiring a housing admin specialist, so our position with Kathy, assisting the housing department with leasing. So both of those jobs are posted. And then we did hire our housekeeper. That position was open, and he started on Monday. So that's an update on staffing. I guess going through our goals 2, 3 regarding engaging with developers and then redevelopment or rehab projects. Again, staff is continuing to focus on the Wright Street extension, as the board knows, and then Gustafson Park. So staff have met with a couple different developers on that. John could speak more to that. And then goal 5, this year is a scoring year for Brainerd, for our public housing. So when we present our ratios to the board every month as part of our financial information, HUD's actually going to score us now for the end of this year. And then we'll have a physical inspection of our properties as well. And again, because we're a high performer, HUD only comes in and scores us every 3rd year. So our last scoring was 2022. Any questions?
Questions of staff?
I have a quick question. It's semi-related. The increase to the management fees to Crow Wing County, was that was percentage based? Is that right? Was it just a straight across the board percentage of services?
It was for next year.
Correct.
2.99%, just under 3%.
Okay, so that was just kind of straight across the board. So all the services, you just took a 3% basically straight across, right?
We did monitor our progress, but yes, it was basically kept at that 3%.
Thank you. That's all.
Other questions of staff? Okay. I think looking at our key targets in here for projects, City Council expressed interest in ensuring that we obligate our funds for projects here this year, and I think this is our tool for being able to strategically select them. There's opportunities granted, but not all opportunities are strategic. And so this sort of helps us think about those priority areas that we're aware of right now. We remain adaptable to project opportunities and such. So when we look at Wright Street, when we think about Gustafson Park, when we Think about Laurel Street, the Thrifty White site. I think we're still pretty laser focused on those top priorities and exploring other opportunities on the side with groups like the Central Minnesota Housing Partnership for being able to develop additional capacity for affordable, sustainable housing. So this is the place where we will be looking as we look to obligate those project funds. It's a good tool, and we make adaptations to that on a quarterly basis when the executive director brings that forward. So with that, there's no action on that other than reporting progress, so thank you for that. We are now moving on to new business. Item A is the FSS grant request approval, and I believe, Ms. Demmel, that's your ball to carry here?
It is. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. So I'm going to apologize first by saying that if I'm not talking loud enough, please let me know. I'm having a hard time hearing myself. I've had a cold for about a week. So if I need to speak up, let me know. So this is attachment 3 on page 13. The approval for our FSS grant application. On September 29th, 2025, the 2025 FSS program grant notice of funding opportunity was released, and it is due back to them by October 29th. Carrie does anticipate submitting this grant package as soon as we're able to hopefully obtain board approval today. She told me this morning she would like to have it submitted by tomorrow. This grant period is for January 1st of 2026 through the end of the calendar year. And the request amount is $106,422, which is also on page 17 in section 8A of the actual grant that was put in the board packet. And I do believe, or that covers salary, benefits, and a training stipend. And if I remember correctly, Karen, you said that was about $3,000 for the training stipend?
Correct.
Okay. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. If I'm not able to answer them, hopefully Karen will be able to. The action requested today would be approval for the submission of the FSS program grant application.
Thank you, Mallory. Questions of staff? Yes, Mr. Yeager, please.
Thank you. I have several questions here. So the first question I have is this is due now, right? And so this is for next calendar year. Do we have enough time? When do we find out about the grant? Do we have enough time in the time of the awarding of the grant to get this employee on board for January of 2026?
Right. So this is for our current employee, Carrie.
Gotcha.
Yep. Carrie Burrell is our FSS coordinator.
That was going to be my second question is
Yep.
who do we have this person in mind and who is it? Okay, got it.
Yep.
Understood.
So she's already there. This is just renewing the funding for that position.
Okay, got it. I think that's all for right now. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Other questions of staff?
Mine were just answered as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, this is sort of a lame question. Can you remind me how the FSS program works? Because we're escrowing funds and such, right?
Correct.
And so that's part of our monthly reports and such. And can you
Yep.
help me just step back and say, here's how this works? And
Yes.
that
So
would be-
I am also still learning the fundamentals of FSS, just because Carrie's our only staff that does it. So she's really the one that knows the nuts and bolts of it. And Karen, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. So when we get participants that come from the HCV program onto the FSS program, typically those participants are not working when they come onto the program. And the goal of the program is for them to obtain employment as a way to be more self-sufficient. And then in turn, the portion that we would pay, no. Is it the portion we would pay goes into the escrow fund for them?
Correct. When
Is
they
it-
come on,
okay.
then, yeah, what their portion of the rent is, if, as that goes up and the HAP goes down, then that difference is escrowed for them. And so our HCV funding from the federal government goes into escrow for them. And then as they meet their goals that they've set, or just time out of it, you know, the duration of it, then if they've qualified and are in good standing, they get their escrow dispersed.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate that, Karen.
Okay, thank you. And that disbursement can be based upon maturing out of the program, or it can be for a qualifying need. That would be appropriate for saying, you know, a draw from this escrow would be beneficial, say, car repair to ensure that you're able to, you know, continue to get to
Yes.
work, for example.
Yep, and that actually was a good example of one that happened this month. Was for car repair.
Okay, yes, Mr. Yates?
Yeah, I just want to follow, I'm just going to back up one more time. I did have a conversation with Eric with this, but I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. The 106 grand for this 2026 for this employee, Karen, that 106 was assumed that we were going to get it, and it was in our budget, correct? That we presented, right?
Correct. Well, the budget we presented was for the general fund piece.
Correct.
This falls under the housing choice voucher.
And that was going to be my question. So if we don't get this, where does the 106, does the 106 then have to come bump out of our general?
No, this is a HUD grant.
Okay.
So if HUD no longer funded this program, it,
It just goes away?
yes.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then is it sustainable year after year? Is it just for this upcoming year?
This grant is funded annually.
Okay.
So some, like Ross is a 3-year grant. This one is annual. So we've had it for decades,
Yeah.
but it is an annual grant we have to apply for.
We've never not received it, is my understanding. Is that right?
Correct. Not that I'm aware, yeah.
And your financial advisor would tell you that past performance is not indicative of future performance.
My response would be, this is government.
Thank you very much, Mallory, and I think with that, we're moving on to, we're continuing on with your report here on 2026 payment standards.
Yes, thank you.
And we would want, Mr. Chair, we'd want a
Oh,
motion to
excuse me.
approve this.
I got to
For
back
staff.
up. Thank you for, see, this is why I want you to sit right. The sharp elbow to say, all right, so I am, we're going back to Family Self-Sufficiency Program grant application, looking for a motion to approve the submission of that grant to HUD.
Move to approve, Ursula.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, Deb Lock.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Karen. And now, Mallory, we're going to go to the payments and standards.
All right, so this report is on page 19 of the packet. In September, we received the new fair market rent amounts that were published for fiscal year 2026. Me and the HCV team sat down and kind of discussed numbers and what it had done last year and all of that. And I took all of that data and kind of put it together so we could see on paper kind of how it's changed. It does look like, and I mean, this wasn't really a surprise to anybody, that the fair market rents are increasing this year. Yeah, as rents continually increase everywhere. So my team recommended, since they've been the ones that have been here much, much longer than I have, last year, it looked like we had to get a HUD waiver for approval to have our payment standards above 110%, which was approved. So down on the second part of the chart there, on where it says percentage of 2025 FMR. So these are the percentages that we were at last year using the the current payment standards we have now versus what the fair market rents were. So you can see there is one that's almost 120%, and HUD doesn't allow above that. So with the fair market rents increasing for 2026, and the fact that our team hasn't really seen like a lack of adequate housing in the area with our voucher holders that doesn't fit the payment standard. We did recommend to Karen and Eric that we keep our payment standards the same, since we're not seeing our voucher participants struggle in finding housing. It does kind of increase our buying power out on the street. And by leaving the payment standards where they currently are, we are also, as the HRA, not spending our money faster, which has become a little bit of a concern to us as we're projected to possibly hit shortfall in December. So we did recommend that we just keep the payment standards where they are. It does help bring down those percentages. The very last line of the second graph there does show how much of a decrease those percentages are taking. And really where we kind of want them is that 95% to 110% range is kind of what we're shooting for. So this brings us a little closer to that without putting a huge burden back on our participants. If there's any questions, I can answer those.
Questions of staff? Mallory, does the three-bedroom need HUD approval since we're still going to be above 110%?
It does not. What I had said earlier about 120%, once you hit over 120%, that's when we start needing to have that extra HUD approval.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions? Mr. Yeager?
Just a comment. I mean, my concern is that if you under increase, you could be then in the following year or subsequent years, you could be then looking, you could be, porpoising through these. So my concern is that if we don't follow fair market value, do we then run the risk, and when we're preparing for our 2027, then now we're trying to make up the gap that we created on our own by under increasing to fair market value that's being presented to us now. That's my biggest concern with this, is that then next year, if the trend continues, we're now, instead of just looking at whatever these gaps are, we'd potentially be looking at almost double the gap. So that's my only concern. I'm not suggesting I have the right answer, but I just wanted to pose the question to all the smart people in the room as to whether or not that is a valid concern.
I feel like that is a valid concern. It is possible. The hardest part is we don't know that until we get there. I'm sure everyone has seen a trend, an increase in rent amounts. So I do think that is a valid concern. But we do, with this staying where it's at, it does give us a little bit of a gap to be able to go back up in those payment standards, back up into that 110 to 120% range, and then even above the over the 120%, if HUD were to allow us to do that. So at least there is a little bit of wiggle room.
Okay. But currently we're above, our current rents are above the 2026 payment standard for the fair market rent, is that correct? For 2026, our current payment standards is the
Yes.
fifth row,
Yep.
and the 2026 HUD fair market rent is the third row.
That's
So we're
correct.
above it still at this
Still
point.
trending above,
So
yeah.
we're not trending below that fair market rent.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
But the challenge we had last year is that HUD dropped the rent,
Right.
fair
Yeah.
market rent, and so that puts us in this place where we're spending down
Faster than we,
faster
Correct.
than HUD has in their calculus, and so now at least we're planing out, right? So I think that's beneficial for now.
okay.
But I would hate to see us, dip
Yeah.
too low, knowing that, if a similar decision by HUD next year to do like they did for 2025 and
Right.
proposing that for 2027, it would put us in a tough spot.
Right. My hope is just that we're trying to find stay as close to the middle ground as possible to give us the greatest amount of flexibility no matter what's happening. So I think you've answered my question though. Thank you.
Any
And
other questions
I
of
could
staff
add
or
one more.
clarification?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, again, just like Chair Duval mentioned, the only reason we went up to 120 was because we wanted to hold our participants harmless. Because HUD lowered the FMRs, so we went higher just so we could hold them harmless.
Right.
Typically, we've always stayed within the 110% and not requested a waiver to go higher. And again, with our funding taking us, allowing us to lease less vouchers, it's kind of that sweet spot of staff saying, our participants have enough buying power out on the street to get into the units that, they qualify for, and making our money go as far as it can, since we're able to lease less vouchers. And again, we just look to staff, like Mallory said. Ryan's been here for years, really, I feel like has his finger on the pulse.
Okay.
And his recommendation is that right now, people searching for vouchers have enough buying power to get into the units that they want.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? Thank you, Mallory. We're moving on to item 7, Bills and Communications. Finance Director Young, we've got a financial report.
All right, my memo's on the screen, attachment 4, page 21 of the packet. Wanted to let the board know that staff are working on our 2026 budgets. We had presented the preliminary general fund back in August, and now we're working on our full budget for all of our state and federal programs. We will present those to the board next month. I also wanted to give the board an update on the government shutdown and the status of our federal funding. At this point, it looks like we will have our federal funding through the end of the year. HUD has indicated that for the voucher program, HAP and admin will be funded through the end of the year. ROS and FSS are in the ELOC system, HUD's program where we go in and draw the money down. That money, or those funds, are already obligated in the system, so we can go in and draw that grant money down through the end of the year. Operating subsidy is also available. So through December, we should be fine. I was looking this morning just at where our voucher funding is sitting, because again, we were looking like we would have a shortfall in December. I'm not sure of the status of the shortfall funding because it hasn't been awarded yet, but when I did a quick look this morning, it looked like we were estimating within 10 grand of a shortfall, so we're really eking it down. So hopefully at this point, we work our way out of it in December. But that's the only thing I'm not sure of, is that HUD has not awarded shortfall funding, and I'm not sure if staff are even working through that now. I would assume not at HUD.
Oh, yeah.
And then Old National Bank, Bremer did sell to Old National Bank, so staff has been getting logged in and attending trainings for that. That did go live on the 20th. So we are now under the new bank's platform and learning that. Hence the new depository agreement that we are having the board sign. Are there any questions at all?
Questions, Mr. Yeager?
Thank you. Regarding the shortfall funding aspect, so government shut down, they're not working on it. Let's say that this drags up to the end of the year. And then it ramps back up. Will they be working on back funding those applications, or will they just be like, well, we'll see you again in 2026? Or is it just go away permanently, or is there a system of reciprocation for that?
One would think the funds are already appropriated by
Right.
HUD. So one would think we would receive them if we have a true shortfall.
Okay.
If HUD is not dispersing additional HAP dollars to us. I would assume if it was that small of an amount, we would use our HCV admin
Okay,
funds to cover it. Because if it is a pretty insignificant.
insignificant amount, right, okay, understood. Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Other questions? Be looking for a motion to approve the payments as presented.
So move, Yeager.
Is there a second?
Second, Devlock.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. We are now on to HCV report. Welcome back, Mallory.
So for the HCV program, it says in here that we will be notifying. We actually did notify 50 participants yesterday. Those letters were sent out in the mail. We are hoping that people get them as early as the end of the week or beginning of next week, and we are ready to start vouchering up. These will all be for January 1st lease-ups because of the potential shortfall that we might hit in December. Had told us that they don't want anybody to actually lease up any unit until January 1st, so that will be our target for all 50. We didn't have a shortfall meeting, as Karen was saying. Nobody's working in HUD, so we didn't have a shortfall meeting in October that we were supposed to. Yeah, so hopefully we'll find out about that sooner rather than later. You'll notice in the packet, there is a new section for Bring It Home. We were able to submit the due diligence items for the Bring It Home Rental Assistance Program by the due date of October 14th. I think it was the 15th it was due. Now we just kind of wait for them to get back to us. I had gone, last month I wasn't here because I was up at the NARO conference in Duluth. I found out a lot of good information from the actual Bring It Home team from Minnesota Housing. What they told all of us that were there, was that as soon as our due diligence items are submitted, they are going to be putting out the contracts for signatures to the agencies in groups. Mostly so it's mostly so they don't have all of the contract renewals at the same exact time every 2 years. So depending on when they get to looking at our due diligence items, will kind of depend on what group we get put into. They did say it could happen anytime from now to January or February. So what that means for us now is we just kind of sit and wait and prepare as much as we can without actually taking the next steps. Once we get that contract to sign, Eric will sign it and send it back, and that is when we can start everything. Finding a staff member to administer the program, teaching on ourselves, everything, notifying everybody. We will be, with that program, you have to be a Minnesota resident to even apply to be on the waiting list for it. So our plan is to go through our entire HCV waiting list, which is, as of today, approximately 400 people. And anybody that is a Minnesota resident, they will be mailed a letter just notifying them of this new program, what the preferences are, and letting them know that they're welcome to apply. As well as reaching out to all of our agencies around here. Croydon County, I've already talked to Rachel Zeta, kind of gave her a little nugget of information about that. So, yeah, so there's our new Bring It Home section of our packet here.
Can I just get a question on that one before we go on, please? What is the contract duration of the Bring It Home program? Do they run yearly? Is it a 4-year, 3-year? How long?
2 years.
It's a 2-year.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is the calendar operation of those contracts? Is it calendar year January to December, or is it? It seems odd to me that the contract signing overlaps the last 2 months of 1 year and the first 2 months of a second year.
Right.
So
From what I've heard, it'll be whenever we sign that contract.
That's when the 2 year starts. It doesn't run on calendar years?
Correct.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mallory. Please proceed.
Yeah, that's, for the most part, that's all I have. If anybody has any additional questions.
Bridges, we're tallying up, we're caught up on payments and such there,
Yes,
reimbursements?
Thank you very much. I did forget to mention that. As of today, we are now only waiting for October's payment. We're fully covered. Yay.
Yeah,
We're all very excited about that.
how good it feels to be whole.
Yeah.
And we've taken action on the grant application. Any other questions of staff on the HCV report? Okay. All righty, thank you, Mallory. We're on to the housing management report. Hannah?
All right, thank you, Chair Duval. My memo is on page 47, it's attachment 6 in your packet. Vacancy report is attached as usual at Valley View Townhomes, again, sitting at 100% occupancy with 24 individuals on our waiting list. Couple of Ross program updates. We have 20 active participants in the Ross program, no newly enrolled or exited. We had 21 contacts with enrolled and non-enrolled for the month of September. Sitting at 27 residents on the CSFP food box program. That is for our elderly tenants only. And then a little highlight for September, we revamped our initial intake and annual assessment forms. So that's going to better help us meet the requirements for the reporting on the grant side. And then moving right along on my charts, couple of highlights. We have 27 applications placed on the public housing waiting list. We had 0 denied in September. We did have quite a few move-ins and move-outs going on. We do have 2 vacant units that have now been filled in October. And then you'll get an update next month, but we are working on inspections at Valley Trail and scattered sites this month that have been completed. And then unfortunately did have 2 evictions that are still kind of ongoing for 2 residents at North Star. And then the financials are down below. And that's all I have unless there are any questions for me.
Questions of staff? Okay, thank you, Hannah. We are now on item D, rehab programs report. Mr. Schomer.
Thank you, Chair, to all members of the board. As you can see, that is up on the screen or on page 53 if you're following along. We did have some good news come to us. We did get awarded our small cities grant, so pretty excited about that. So $600,000 of that, $20,000 will be admin, which will help cover the HRA's expenses. The other $580,000 will be money that will go directly to the city of Brainerd to help cover the large expense of those light fixtures that are going to be part of that project of Washington Street reconstruction. So now there's just the next steps. The city actually signs a contract with deed. We'll do a contract with the city to administer it, and then we have the environmental review and some necessary policies that have to be adopted. So we're finally know we're getting funded and can get that going. So, and then you can see down in the chart below the different rehabs we have going on. Still a strong presence with the MHFA loans, and you can see we have 2 of this current small cities grant that are in process right now. We do have a couple of funding units available for single-family rental rehab that is throughout the city of Brainerd. We also have 1 owner-occupied unit left, and Britt has already started the process to reach out to our target area B to get that fulfilled. So, any questions for me?
You know, John, I can say a really nice job to you and your team for landing that deed grant. That's a significant benefit to the city of Brainerd, and I think that'll be reflected every time we as residents or visitors to Brainerd or folks traveling through are going to see that project, and it's going to reflect on the city of Brainerd. So, you know, a tip of the hat to you folks for putting that together shepherding it through a process and being able to bring that to the city. That's a nice chunk of money there. So thank you so much for that. Questions for staff?
Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, Executive Director Report provided by Finance Director Young.
Yes, the memo is up on the screen, attachment 8, page 57 of the packet. Staff did attend the appreciation lunch for the city of Brainerd and Brainerd Public Utilities staff as well. I think Commissioner Duval, were you able to attend
Yes.
as well? We did have 4 staff recognized for years of service awards at that lunch. As we had mentioned in our strategic goals, Eric did have a local realtor reach out to him to discuss possible development interest at Gustafson Park within the city. They are interested in the potential of building single-family homes on that lot. The concept would be to build workforce housing with starting prices at or below $250,000. The realtor believes that they have a builder who could meet that with a basic home design in the 2 or 3 bedroom layout. Staff feel that Gustafson Park would be an ideal location for additional infill development, and staff has reached out to the city staff to start the conversation, and hopefully the next step would be to have a sit-down meeting with the city staff, the realtor, the builder, and HRA staff. And if there's questions, I think John's probably more in the know than I am on that, but staff could entertain questions as well.
Okay. Mr. Yeager.
Thank you. John, do you know, has there been a preliminary plat even sketched out on paper? Do we know how many of these dwellings they're hoping to get on that block?
Hoping for 7, there has been no preliminary plat,
Okay.
but that's just conversation with
Got it.
7.
And to your knowledge, there's been no discussion regarding duplexes versus single family?
The single family is what was the original conversation.
And was the original conversation for single family, was that trajectory set by James, or was that trajectory set by, or our code, or was that set by the developer? That's what the developer wants to do?
That was the developer's proposal. That
Okay.
was their suggestion.
Okay, understood. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you.
Other questions on this item? Thank you. If you proceed, Karen?
Sure. And then Eric is in training this entire week. It's his second course for his 4-part certification for housing development finance professional through Grow America. So that's why he's not with us today at our meeting.
All right. Any questions of staff on the report? Hearing none. Thank you, Karen. We'll be at agenda item 8, commissioner comments. Mr. Yeager, may we start with you?
Oh, thank you. So I got to steal someone's thunder here, I'm sure. But I did also just want to say thank you so much to everyone who did work on the grant process and all of the time and effort that took to get so huge. Again, to your point, tip of the hat. Those are the exact types of, that's the exact type of work that we should be, going after. So glad it worked out and highly beneficial to the city, citizens, and all of that. So thank you to everyone. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Kasula.
I would just like to echo Mr. Yeager's comments. I was gonna say the same thing. Good work on that. That's a lot of funds for the city. That's gonna make it look hopefully quite a bit nicer. So,
Thank you. Ms. Deblock.
I was at a work conference last week in Duluth, and one of our breakout sessions was called Community Walk. And basically the gist of it is just to kind of walk around your community and look at it in fresh eyes. And ever since that breakout session, I've just kind of noticed things a little bit more, maybe. But I'd like to challenge you guys to all kind of pay a little more attention. Like, I work in Brainerd, I work in Crow Wing County, I'm out and about every day, but I'm on autopilot, so it was kind of eye-opening and a cool concept. Since we all do work around here too. Just kind of look at it through a fresh set of eyes. The thing that triggered that thought was the lights. When you're new coming into this community, or just driving through, just looking at it a little bit differently. So enjoy your walks.
Thank you, Ms. DeBlock. And Ms. Decker? No? And I have nothing at this time as well. So with that, our next meeting is November 19th. We're jumping a week early due to the holiday, and I think that'll be true for December as well. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Don't move, Jaeger.
Is there a second?
I'll second DeBlock.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, we're out of here. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There.
And I'm reunited with my hydro.